All right, next thing we're going to look at is actually creating or editing guidance lines within Operations Center. So here we're already within our land application, but if it's our first time getting here, if we were in the map or somewhere else, we go to land, and then we can select guidance at the top left here. So we can rename our guidance lines here. We can create new guidance lines. A lot of straight tracks if we want to think about planning them out. We also come into guidance to create any auto paths from boundaries lines, which we'll be doing in a follow-up video. So here we were with boundaries. If I come over to guidance, it's going to show our guidance lines for all of our farms and fields. A lot to look at that from that standpoint, but if we actually go to clients and farms and I find the actual field I want to look at, we can actually select that field and then go to guidance, and then it's only going to show the guidance lines for that field. So within this field, we have 7 different guidance lines. We have 2 auto paths from boundaries created. We have a guidance line that was named DISC, which I would say was likely created in the field at the display. That's pretty common things we'll see if all lowercase letters. We have north end rows. We have a circle track, another auto path from boundaries, and then just a planting straight track line. So say this planting straight track line, if we actually want to look at it to see what this line was or what it looks like, the heading sort of details, what kind of line it was, let's actually look at that now. So if we look on the left here, this was a straight track and an A plus B line. So on our heading at the bottom here, we have 0.7291 as that heading degrees. So if we look at the bottom right, here's where that line was created. So we have our A point and our B point. So a very short driven line. So if I was looking for a line where maybe I set my A point on the south end here and my B point at the north end, if that's a line I'm looking for, it's probably a different line that we need to find in our list. So little details like that helps you understand, well, is this the guidance line we need? Is it not? Stuff like that. For this purpose, let's go ahead and say this is the line we want. It's the line we want to keep moving forward. I want to use this line every year for planting, and I don't want to actually lose it out of my list from accidentally retiring it or archiving it or something like that. So in this, then I want to change the name of how we're actually naming it. So one thing I like to do, I like to cap locks everything I want to save or not remove out of a display. So for me, if I know this is my planting guidance line, I might call it just planting. I might add the year to it. That way we know what year actually may have been created. In some instances, we'll actually add the heading with it. So if I wanted to actually do that, we're at 0.7291. So I'm going to go 0.7291. 7291. So now I can see that in the name. If I am in the display and I do pull up that guidance line, I can still see the heading there, but it is a quick reference thing for what you're looking at. So name the guidance lines how you want them, especially if it's a guidance line you want to keep long-term in your list. So like I say, one thing that's worked for me is if I just cap lock all the letters of it, to me, I know in my head, do not delete that guidance line out. So I'm going to go ahead and save this line for later use then. So now if I click back to guidance, here's my list and here's this line that's all capital letters. So one thing we do want is we want to make sure our lists are cleaned up also. So if there's guidance lines that we don't want or anything we don't need anymore, say this north end rows and this disc line and even these 2 autopath lines, say these are lines that we aren't going to need going forward. So I'm going to select any lines I don't want and I'm going to hit archive on the right. Now when I archive them, we aren't actually deleting them. So they're still in the background. We could go into our archives and pull them back out. So at the top of our list here, we have this archived button. So if I click on archived, it will show me all my lines again. So I can see that disc line. If I select it and I come to the right, I can go ahead and hit make available. Then now that's going to be in my active list again. So archiving is good because it gets it out of our display if we don't need them. But like I say, it's still in the background if we would ever need to pull that line back out again. Another thing we can do then too is if we know we're going to go out and plant this field and we want to do, we see a lot of A+ heading anymore. Our section control on row by row control, we see a lot of that from, I just want to plant 0 degrees north and south, I want to be 90 east and west, or I'm going to go out and plant my soybeans at an angle, whatever scenario. If I want to go out and plant at a 7-degree angle and have that guidance line in there, so when I get to the field or when I'm doing a work plan, that guidance line's already there, we can establish that right now. So I'm going to go and go to add. I'm going to select track to create our new guidance line. So in this one, we can do a straight track or a circle track. Our field name is still populated, and I'm not going to worry about our implement width. As when we get to that field, our width and our setup will populate with what we needed to do. So I'm going to go and hit next. We will see this auto path from boundaries pop up. This has been a good thing when we have new features and capabilities that come to Operations Center. We will see random pop-ups like this, and a lot of it's just to help bring some awareness of new features or capabilities that have come out. We will be doing auto path from boundaries in another video though. So we're going to go ahead and close out of that. So to create this guidance line on the left side, I'm going to call this plant and 7. Because we're going to create this as a 7-degree angled guidance line. So we can do our A point. Realistically, since I'm doing an A+ heading, I'm just going to click somewhere in the field. I'll click another spot again. So we have our A and our B point established. But what I want to do is I want to come down to this heading, and I'm going to call this 7 degrees. So now that we've established that line as 7 degrees, this is what this guidance line is going to look like when we get to the machine. Other options, if I know I just want to be 0 or 90, these are a couple quick buttons to actually select. And then as you can see on that right, when I click this, it actually changes what that guidance line looks like. But like I say, we're creating a 7-degree line for planting. So we're going to go ahead and have 7 degrees, and I'm going to go ahead and hit save. So now that it's saved, I'll click back on guidance and get out of my archived, and here's that plant 7-degree line.